Hi everybody, my name is Danielle Nicole and welcome to Monetary Makeup. I'm super excited for today's video because I have a brand new release from KVD Beauty and it is the new MODCON Liquid Gel Contour, and I picked up the shade Fair Cool 90, which is actually the fairest shade. So just so you can see what the packaging looks like. So we'll be applying this today and I'll do a wear test and up close swatches for you guys. And while we review this new KVD MODCON Liquid Gel Contour, the topic of the day is going to be why the 4% rule for investing no longer works regardless of your investment strategy, and go over what sequence of return actually is, why it affects you, and what solutions you might have to avoid this risk. So if you're excited to get started, don't forget to hit the like button, and let's get started right now. Okay, so the only thing I have on my skin so far is the new Tarte Hydroflex C foundation in the shade 14B. I did a review of this foundation, so I will link that up here for you guys. Spoiler alert, I absolutely love this foundation. It has more of a natural finish, so I think it's going to be a great option to try out this new contour. Okay, so let's open this bad boy up and see what it looks like. Oh, okay. So it actually has a doe foot applicator, which is pretty unique. I don't think I've seen any other products with the doe foot other than concealer and foundation maybe. So this is a pretty interesting applicator. As a busy mom myself, I think this is going to be a great applicator because you can just kind of swipe it on and be out the door. Okay, so let's get right into it, and I'm going to start off with my left cheekbone. So let's grab a little bit of this product and swipe where my contour would go. So this is actually a gel formula, and right off the bat I can feel that texture. Because I have oily, dehydrated skin, typically gel products work very well for me, so I'm really excited to see how this blends out. So on this side, I'm going to use my mini Shot Missé sponge. These sponges are fantastic because they're just the right size, they're not too big. So let's get started with blending this out. Right off the bat, I do really like the shade. It's not too dark and it is cool toned. However, it's not too cool toned. I have a feeling this is going to be a good shade in the winter when you don't have time to apply bronzer and contour, but that's just speculation at this point. So let's see. So it doesn't appear to be picking up any of my foundation, which is always great. Yeah, so this blended out very quick. I think it looks great so far. So left side contour, this side nothing. All right, let's go ahead and blend the other side. And to do my right side, I'm going to use my Real Techniques brush in number 421. It's kind of a mini blush brush, but I find it works great for contour. So that's what I'm going to use on this side. Okay, so let's dip in again and apply the line right here. I am left-handed, so my right side is always a little bit more difficult to do. Do you guys find that one side is a little bit easier with your makeup? All right, and I'm just going to start buffing this out and see what happens. Wow, okay, so a lot more coverage with a brush, and that sponge I used on my left side was actually dry. So holy cow, do you see the pigment on this side versus the sponge side? So I'm actually gonna go back in with the sponge. I can already tell I like the sponge side better. I'm not into super dramatic contour, but I think this would be great if you do like that, or if you like it more sheer, just depending on how you like to apply it. And I'm just going to take this up on my temples just a little bit because this side had so much. Okay, so just to show you guys up close, sponge side, brush side first and then sponge. So yeah, I definitely do like this side better. It just looks a little bit more natural in my opinion, so I don't think I'll be using a brush for the rest of my face. Okay, so next let's go in and do the forehead. I think I'm just gonna kind of dab this on. Start with a little bit, and if we need to build up, we can always do that, but it's much harder to take away. Yeah, I really like this shade. I mean, typically I go for more cooler undertones, and this is definitely cool, but it's more leaning neutral, I'd say, which is why I think it might work for both a bronzer and a contour kind of duo. Yeah, so far it's blending out very nice, and it's not picking up any of my foundation underneath, which is always something I'm worried about when trying any sort of cream or liquid product. So far so good. So I'm just going to apply a little bit more closer to my hairline. I don't want to have a white line and then a contour line. So I'm just going to do a couple dabs closer to my hairline. And what I typically do when I get close to my hairline is I'll dab the sponge, and then I'll also kind of rub it just a little bit to blend it up into my hairline. Yeah, that definitely made a big difference, adding just a little bit more up there. Okay, so I'm not a huge contour person on my nose, but I do just want to give it a go so you guys can see how it blends out. And I'm trying to use the monitor, but I have to look in my mirror. And I'm just going to apply 2 little stripes down more of the bottom portion of my nose, because my nose gets skinnier towards between my brows. So it does have a makeup-y scent. It's not scented by any means with fragrance, I don't think, but it does have that kind of makeup-y foundation scent, but it's not strong or anything. Okay, so definitely going to use this sponge on my nose. I don't want to look like a zebra, so let's blend this out. Okay, so it's pretty pigmented on my nose, which is interesting. I'm not really sure why, but when I went in on the cheekbones, it seemed to kind of just melt into the skin and blend out more. But on my nose, maybe I just applied too much. That could have been it. So next time, if you guys do end up ordering this, I would just go a little bit more easy on your nose so that way you don't have too harsh lines like I do right now. So I'm just going to blend out an extra minute here. So it is looking a little bit too severe on my nose in real life. So I guess it's not as fair as I thought it was. It's still fair, but on my nose it stands out a lot more. So I'm going to take my foundation sponge and just blend out the edges a little bit. Okay, so I have to say I'm really loving this MODCON contour. The shade is perfect, I think, for my pink cool complexion. And I really do like the formula because it's a gel formula. So as I mentioned, I have oily dehydrated skin. So my nose is pretty dehydrated right now around here, and I don't see it really sticking to any of that so far. So I'm really excited. I'm so happy I ordered this. I can't wait to see how it holds up throughout the day. Okay, so in case you guys are curious if any of the MODCON contour picks up with blush, I'm going to go in with this Candy Paint Half Caked blush in the shade Disco Lemonade. This is one of my favorite brands. I know I talk about this brand all the time, but they just make such amazing creams. So this is what this shade looks like. And I'm just going to take my finger and dab in. Now, these candy paint blushes, highlighters, bronzers, they are very pigmented. So I'm just going to apply a dot to each side. See that? I just took a dot, and it's enough to cover both sides. So let me just blend this out with my fingers, and we'll see what happens. Okay, so far, you can definitely still see the contour over my blush. So next, let's go in with highlighter. And I'm also going to use from Half Caked their Candy Paint Sugar Cookie Highlighter, which is another balm product. I just love these balms. And this is the only shade they have, I believe, which is Sugar Cookie. So once again, I'm just going to use my ring finger and apply a little bit on my cheekbones. Okay, and I'm going to take a little bit down my nose as well. This is such a beautiful highlighter. If you guys like that glassy skin look without any of the oil or grease, these balm products from Half Caked, oh my gosh, I just absolutely love the formula. And I think this shade, it would work on multiple skin tones because it's just a little bit too deep for me, but I love it. It's just beautiful. Okay, I need to move on because I could just sit here and apply highlighter all day. Okay, so far this went on beautifully with a dry sponge. That's definitely my favorite way to apply this. And to give you guys a close-up for what the blush and highlighter looks like over the contour, everything blended out very nicely, and it didn't pick up any of my foundation, and it didn't, and you can still see the contour with the blush and highlighter over it. So I love this contour. It is just beautiful. So yeah, so far I'm really loving the formula and the shade. Okay, next let's cut into swatches of this KVD MODCON, and then we will go into the topic of the day. Alright everybody, so I'm outside right now, so I apologize if you can hear the loud birds and the traffic going by. But here's that swatch in natural daylight, and this is what the rest of my makeup is looking like. Yeah, beautiful shade, like the formula, and so far so good. Alright, so next let's cut into the topic of the day. So first we're going to talk about sequence of return risk and why sequence of return risk now affects the 4% rule that you may have heard of. So what is sequence of return risk? So while it can apply to anyone who has any sort of investments, sequence of return risk typically applies to people who are in retirement or about to retire and plan to start to withdraw funds from their accounts very soon. So what I have on this board are two examples of two different people who invested with the same average return in the market. So as you can see here, with person one, they have X percentage of average return that totals an average of 8.19%. Person two also averages 8.19% in the market. But what you'll notice is that the sequence of their returns are completely different. So for example, in year one, person one lost money and has a negative 9.1% of a return, whereas person two had an 18.4% return positive. So what you'll notice is that person one, at the end of this investing schedule, they have a total of $35,316, where person two has a total of $237,262. Now that is assuming each person, person one and person two, withdrew the same exact amount of dollars. So in this situation, the example is person one withdrew a total of $114,706. Person two also withdrew $114,706. But what you'll notice is at the end of withdrawing that $114,706, they both had an average return of 8.19%, but person one has significantly less money left than person two. So why is that? So I could honestly do an entire seminar and discuss this all day, but the reason is the sequence of your returns matter, particularly when it comes to your withdrawal schedule in retirement. So as you can see, with withdrawing the exact same schedule, they withdrew $114,000 and they both averaged 8.19%, but after this example, person one is left with $35,000, whereas person two now has $237,000. So what does all of this mean? It means that as you near retirement and you start to withdraw funds from those accounts, the sequence of your returns matter dramatically. So please comment monetary makeup down below in the comments section if this is making sense so far. Okay, so the order of your investment returns matters, but what can we do to protect ourselves from this risk? Now again, everyone's situation is completely different, their goals are unique, so I never recommend one solution for everyone. It's actually a really big pet peeve of mine when I see all these very well-known advisors recommend that everyone do this investment strategy or everyone does not, or everyone should not do this investment strategy. But in my opinion, that's terrible advice because again, everyone's situation is different, their needs and goals are different. So as I always say in every video, if you now understand that sequence of return could affect your retirement in the future, definitely reach out to your own financial advisor and your own CPA. You might be wondering why I typically recommend meeting with a CPA, but that's because taxes are extremely important throughout your retirement and leading up to retirement. So there's actually several options that you could do to protect yourself from this sequence of return risk, but today I'm just going to touch on two because we only have a couple of minutes today. So the first option is, assuming you are not retired yet, is to actually move a portion of these funds into low-risk investments, so it just moves some of the risk from their investments in the first place. So another option that you may want to consider, again, same situation, it's as you are nearing retirement and you were able to capitalize on a lot of those gains in the market, is you could consider putting a portion of your investments into an income annuity. Now, I did do a video comparing an income annuity versus a fixed annuity in another video that I'll try to link up here. But for now, what I would say is you may want to consider an income annuity. So I could talk all day about annuities and investments, but at the end of the day, just in layman's terms, what an income annuity does is it takes a lump sum of money and it turns that investment into a lifetime income stream or a certain number of years for an income stream. So basically, instead of having a lump sum of money that you can access at any point in time, that can also go up or down at any point in time, it transfers the risk to the company as opposed to you. So now, instead of worrying about, oh, is my investment up or down this year? Do I have enough for retirement? You now have a guaranteed income stream that lasts for X amount of years. And again, I am not saying that moving a portion of your investments into low risk or a portion of your investments into an income annuity is the right situation for everyone, but I at least wanted to give you a couple of examples of what you can do if you're nearing retirement and you are concerned with sequence of return risk. Now, the last thing that I will say is that it's unfortunate that a lot of advisors don't take this into account and they don't educate their clients about this risk. So it is so important that you understand that the order of your returns matter, especially as you're nearing retirement and you plan to start to withdraw from your accounts. So I hope that helped to explain what sequence of return risk is, but now let's discuss the 4% rule. Why is that no longer an option for most investors? So you may have heard a common investment strategy in retirement for withdrawal is with the market bearing on average 7 to 10% of a return, as long as you withdraw less than that, such as 4%, you will never run out of money. Now, I'm not saying that those advisors that made up this 7 to 4% rule are phony, because at one point in time, it did actually make sense, right? You're averaging a higher return and you are withdrawing funds less than those returns. But that doesn't take into account sequence of return risk, because you don't want to run into a situation like person one, where, okay, I'm only going to withdraw 4% or less and have an average of 7%. Because with person one, they just happened to get the short end of the stick. As they neared retirement, their investments were significantly less. So this kind of ties into the two solutions that I spoke about before. If you find yourself nearing retirement, you may want to consider the 2 solutions that I discussed today. Okay, so I know that you guys probably have a ton of questions, and I know I was only able to cram a ton of information in about 5 minutes. So again, if you have any questions, definitely leave them in the comments section down below, and I'll try my best to get to everyone. Okay, next let's cut into the 9-hour wear test. Hopefully the topic of the day was helpful for you guys. I had an extremely busy day. My daughter goes back to school next week, so we were running around town trying to go clothes shopping and get all of her school supplies and all of that good stuff. Yes, the traffic is still going by. I apologize. Hopefully you guys can't hear it too much, but let's see what this MODCON is looking like after 9 hours. Wow. You can definitely still see it. Everywhere. Oh yeah, I left the swatch on my hand too. Granted, I didn't wash my hands with soap or anything, but it's still definitely there. So I would say the lasting power on this is fantastic. So I definitely recommend this MODCON Liquid Gel Contour. I think it's absolutely beautiful, lasted all day. I love the shade, the undertone, and I also like the gel formula. I also wanted to mention, because I am not at 1,000 subscribers yet, I was not able to let you guys know what's going on, but I'm sure you noticed that typically I post 2 videos a week, but unfortunately my grandfather went into the hospital. He had to go airborne to a second hospital, so I was preoccupied with that, so I apologize you guys. Typically I like to get 2 videos out a week, but you know, family is the most important thing to me, so I had to put that first. But just wanted to let you guys know I do plan to be back to normal and having 2 videos a week for next week. But until then, I just want to thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. If you like financial topics, like the topic of the day, if you enjoy makeup for over 30, definitely hit the subscribe button. And thank you guys so much. I'll see you in my next video. Bye!